Greetings, beautiful souls. Here are a few talks about the energy of the new earth and the field of infinite possibilities. That is the energy of the new earth. So over the winter solstice 2021, we have finally made that step from the energy of the old earth into energy of the new earth. Or if you follow me on the YouTube channel, we finally made that cross from the 2.0 version ourselves into 3.0 version of ourselves. Naturally, we know that the new earth is not a new city that you are going to move in, but the new earth is the part of the city, part of the place, part of the community, and most important, the part of you. New earth start from the inside out, from connecting with the earth where you are currently living, whichever part of the world you are, assessing that energy through you, shifting, very alchemizing in the 3.0 or the highest vibrational energy, whichever way you want to call it, and creating the beautiful world around you, which means the shifting reality, creating the reality that is more supportive to your life and those around you. Now, we know that we are the master of the suffering, right? That this is what we had to do. We have to learn and recognize the suffering within us that we went through, whatever happened to us, and learn to accept it for what it is, learn to forgive and let go and stop the blaming everybody for our miseries or for whatever happened to us, and start rising in that energy of a sacred heart, which would be a very neutral energy in the beginning, sort of, to learning to move in your heart and staying neutral for a little bit, because definitely there are the things that happen to you, that happen every single one of us, that are not happy, that are very disturbing or very sad. So we learned that and we mastered that. And then we had a choice. And there's been a lot of happening around the winter solstice and the Christmas, when I would say almost everybody was presented with this choice. Are you going to stay in that energy of the suffering, or are you going to neutralize that energy and says, okay, there are the things I can't control. There are some things that I just have to accept for what they are. And I have a choice to move forward. And moving forward means to moving in that unconditional love energy. Now, that means that you exchange your willpower from the suffering to the unconditional love. Now, of course, naturally, the things are happening and will, always happen to us because we live in the three-dimensional earth, in the three-dimensional bodies. However, we have learned that we have a choice, and the choice is to living from the heart, according to those 6 heart virtue, what I talked about the last time. So we have those, and that literally open this field of infinite possibilities, which you can call the new earth. Now, we talk about the new earth. We talk about these energies of infinite possibilities. We talk about all of this and we dream about it. We fantasize about it, which is really good because, when you can dream it, you can make it, right? When you can dream it, you can feel it and you can manifest it. Well, here we are at that manifesting point. Now, this is when we need to roll up our sleeves and where we need to become doers. We have to start find the practical ways how to live in this new earth energy, how to make it your new way of life, how that imprint will become a part of you, and how we will inspire the others to follow in the same way. So I want to share with you this metaphorical story that I'm sure that you will find every single one of you in your life. And your story may be a little different than mine, but I think it will kind of help you to connect the dots and help you to realize what is it that you can do, how you can change your way you are thinking, and how you can manifest anything in the field of infinite possibilities. So my story is about strawberries. Beautiful, lovely strawberries. Now, I was doing my regular food prep for my family that I usually do over the weekend. And I was slicing the fruit, making this big box for the fruit that we usually do. And I was marveling over it, that it is January. And even though I'm living in the southern region of the USA, in the South Carolina, it is January. And I have strawberries in January. Now, to understand my story, you need to know a little bit something about how I grew up. I grew up in the former Czechoslovakia, in the Czech Republic, in the northern part of the Bohemia. I grew up in the quite a poor country of the Czech Republic, a poor part, a northern part, and my family was not well off. When I was growing up, the strawberries would be something that you get only in the summer. And I would say the growing season of the strawberries would be about the July to August, because, you know, the Czech is kind of a cold region I used to be. Now I was born in 1975. That's going to help you to put your time frame up there. So the stories that I guess I'm sharing would be like from those 1980s plus minus that I remember, because it's very different there today. It's very different here today, right? So in my mind, in my true belief, in my field of infinite possibilities, there was this finite, defined moment that the strawberries grow only in the July and the August. And I can get them only at my grandparents' house, or I can go to the forest and pick up the forest strawberries, which are a little bit smaller, very delicious when they are ripe, very fragrant. If you never had a forest strawberry, you're definitely missing on something very, very delicious. And so that's something that we would go and pick in the forest in those months. Now, my grandmother had this like kind of nice patch of the strawberries in her garden. She would take a really good care of it. She would cover them for the winter with the hay so they would not freeze, and so much on. To grow strawberry to me sounded like a scientific project. And my grandmother was a wonderful, wonderful gardener. I have no idea how the woman did it, but she was absolutely amazing. And I don't think that we appreciated her that much back then for that. But if you can hear me, Grandma, you are amazing. So again, you know, when the strawberries started to go into the season, I remember I would go there and I would be very impatient. And the first there would be these white, beautiful flowers. And then they would turn into this green strawberry, and I would be impatient. I would want to go and pick them up. And my grandma would say, well, you have to be patient. You have to wait until they ripe because they will not taste good. And of course, as a kid, I sneak out and try to eat that green strawberry that I'm sure is going to be so delicious. It was horrible, and it just wasted a possibility for the full-grown, beautiful, delicious strawberry. Now, eventually I have learned, and I would wait until my grandmother says, okay, go and pick your strawberries, but pick only those that are ripe. Give time to the other ones to ripen up. And eventually I have learned. And when we go to the forest, which we would go to pick up the strawberry, blueberry, raspberry, and blackberries. Of course, you know, then whatever you find, you can eat, which is wonderful. Now, when I was growing up, I have never seen strawberries, blueberries, raspberries, blackberries in the store. And maybe they sold them, I have just never seen them. My mother would never buy them from the store, so I don't have any knowledge about it. But I remember when I would go to the grocery store, I would never ever see them on the shelf in those times. Actually, first time I saw the strawberry out of the season in the store was when I moved to the USA into 1998, believe or not. So again, to my personal belief, strawberries grew only in the summer. And if somebody would come and tell me that there is a land of the ancient Atlantis which USA and especially East Coast is the land of the ancient Atlantis, where the strawberry can grow the whole year and you can eat them the whole year, I would be like, oh my God, where is the magical land of the ancient Atlantis? What are those stories from that? Now, that sounds like a silly child thinking, but I want you to understand that way of the thinking, because the field of the infinite possibility is locked to us because we are locked in the way of the thinking. And that way of the thinking that we have, the pattern of our talks, it's already preceded by somebody, by something that we have read, that we have learned, that somebody told us. So growing up in the Czech Republic, we grew up on the fairy tales. If you are from the Eastern Europe, you know what I'm talking about. We grew up on the Grimm's fairy tales, and then we would have our, the country's fairy tales, and so much on. So one of the famous stories that we would hear would be about the fairy tale about the 12th month. Now, originally, I thought that was a Brother Grimm's fairy tale, but when I Google it, it is not, according to Wikipedia. It's a Slovakian fairy tale, and in the 1400s, a Czech writer, Claret Bartoloměj Schlumce, I'm sorry, Claret Bartoloměj Schlumce, that's how you say in the Czech, have written the story down and have using it as a teaching story in his lessons. Now, later on in the 1800s, a famous Czech writer, Božena Němcová, collected this fairy tale and have written it in the collections of her fairy tales, of her stories. So this fairy tale that survived, somewhere in the 1400s, it even has been rediscovered or has been created for the purpose of the teaching. Many of the ancient teachings have been literally rewritten in the fairy tales because that was the way how they will survive and how they would not be abandoned or ridiculed or, completely disappear. So the story of the 12th month goes this. There's a girl named Marushka, Maria. And she lives with her stepmother, with her evil stepmother, and naturally her stepsister is having a birthday. And her evil stepmother wants to kind of get rid of the Marushka, so she will come up with this most ridiculous task for her to finish or for her to accomplish. She sends her out in the middle of the blasting freezer to collect a spring violets. When she come back with the violets, she sent her to collect the summer strawberries. And when she bring back home the summer strawberries, she sent her to collect a fall apples. Now, in this fairy tale, obviously, it is absolutely impossible for Marushka to find any of this. So she goes up there. It's very blistery winter, lots of snow and freezing. So imagine, in my mind, I imagine it's the January. And Marushka goes into the forest and she goes deeper and deeper. And in my mind, she is completely convinced that she is going to die or to freeze to the death, but she cannot return home without this summer strawberries. So she has to just keep going and maybe something's going to happen. And the Marushka comes, suddenly, she sees this man, a 12th man, sitting by the fire. And they feel quite comfortable, and she's very cold and tired, perhaps even hungry. And they, she approached, and they can feel her kindred, beautiful spirit, and they invited her in. And they says, Marushka, what are you doing here? You're going to freeze to the death. This is not place for the young girl to be. Soon it's gonna be a night. Maybe the wolves will eat you. And Marushka tells them, very honestly her situation, that her stepmother just to send her out into the forest to find summer strawberries for her stepsister. Now, the story actually starts with the violet, so when she returns back for the strawberries, they already know what is happening. But let's just, focus on the strawberries. And they have a pity, this man actually the 12 man sitting by this fire represents a 12th month of the year. And so, and they have this big, what you call it, a staff. And whoever holds the staff rules the month of the year. So there's the January standing, with his staff and know that his job is to cover the land with the snow and freeze the rivers so the earth can have a beautiful sleep and the rest before she wake up into the spring and into life. It's a nature way of life, right? And so they do take a pity on the Marushka because they can feel what a sweet soul she is and how her life is just so unfair. So they decided to help her a little bit. And they says, okay, let's make a little miracle. Let's make a little tiny, excuse here for creating a miracle. So the January pass his torch or his staff to the February and the March and the April and the May and the June and the July holds it, and he, come up to his power and he creates his little patch that absolutely, defrosts, and in the fast forward, it mature into that beautiful July water with the absolutely delicious and ripe strawberries. And he says, hurry up, little girl. I'll go and pick up these strawberries before we have to return to water back what it was. So Marushka goes and she picked a, handful or handkerchief of the strawberries. So for sure her stepmother will love her, and her stepsister will be delighted with it. And rush, back home. She thanks to the 12 months, and she's very grateful and she's very sweet, and she's rushing back home to share the strawberries with her family. Of course, stepmother is greedy and the stepdaughter is greedy, and you know where that story is gonna go. But the point is with the strawberries, that in my belief as a child growing up was that to have ripe strawberries in the January would be only if I meet the guardian of the 12 months and they create a miracle for me. Now I was thinking about it, slicing the strawberries, and I was like, wow, if I would come to myself and says, oh, Ella, one day you're gonna live in the country where you can eat the strawberries whole year long, I would look at myself as like, that's probably a fairy tale country, right? Is that the ancient Atlantis that everybody's talking about? Oh my God, that will be fabulous. And here, we slice our strawberries, we add them in our food. Naturally, they are very healthy. And we don't think twice about it. We don't think that suddenly, there's this shift that do I live in the field of infinite possibilities right now? Because I suddenly have this belief that I can have strawberries, when I just go to the supermarket, because we are so fortunate and lucky to have them around the whole year. Of course, if I would have in my backyard, if I would grow them, it would be only by the season. If I would have a greenhouse, I can stimulate the season and grow my strawberries if I want. The point is, in our thinking, in the way of the thinking, if we do think it is possible, we can manifest it. If we already have pre-coded thinking that is impossible, then it doesn't matter what kind of the energy you live in. It doesn't matter if you are a heart-centered and living from your sixth heart virtue. You will block yourself by the possibilities that you truly believe are possible. And that is something that we need to shift. We need to shift from what is possible into infinite, into, that we can manifest impossible. The same, when we have an illness, it can be applied to anything, to illness, to rejuvenation of our body, to assessing the infinite mind and the ancient information or the futuristic information. See, we do read, every single one of us, we do read the books and we educate ourselves and we try to do best of our life and share it with everybody that is willing to listen to us. However, we do have our preset beliefs. Our preset beliefs create limitations. Now, limitations will not do well for us in these new earth energies. Again, we are pioneers, we are cosmic pioneers of these energies, of this field. And we need to allow ourselves to feel it with many possibilities, because that way we can reach that possibilities. Everything is possible. We just honestly do not know how to do it. So it starts with a way of the thinking. There's an interesting part to my story. Again, growing up in the Czech Republic, we did have some limited supplies. Like we would have bananas only for Christmas. And those who know me, you heard that story many times. In my family, you each receive one banana on the Christmas Eve for the Christmas. And then you have to wait for the next Christmas to have the bananas. Somehow it was well known that, the bananas grow in the south. And, we can have a lot of bananas if you would be living somewhere in that country. So I would always think of it that one day I would love to live in the country, or one day I would love to live somewhere when I can have a banana every single day, because I love bananas. And there was not any belief that bananas grows only at a particular season. There was some kind of the belief in my head that, yeah, there is a place where you can eat bananas every single day. Versus strawberries, in my mind, in my head, was only July, August thing. And there's nothing else unless you would meet at 12 magical guardians of the month of the year that you would find those strawberries. See, that is my very personal story. And I know that every single one of you have something that you truly believe that that is the thing, that is the truth. And you may fight somebody to the death for your truth. Now, of course, I'm exaggerating right now, but find what it is within you. What is it that you were so stuck that you truly believe that it was true? And suddenly you realize that it is not like that. It honestly didn't connect that until tonight when I was, studying Hermetic teaching in the morning and preparing for my classes for the next week. And then I'm cutting the strawberries and I'm going like, wow, it's just such a normal thing. And yet when I would be, I don't know, 6, 7, 8, 9 years old, that would be such a fairy tale to know that I can just go in my fridge and have fresh strawberries in the January. So the energy of the new earth. We do need to plant our seeds of the thoughts in this field of the infinite possibilities. You are coming, we are all coming in this very practical stage of our spiritual life. What is it that you want? You need to be specific about what is it that you want. Then that's what you want. If you feel that is very good for you, and hopefully is good for at least one more person than for you, because I think that's how manifesting works. It has to benefit at least one more person than you. But if it's more people, then even better. But again, if it benefits at least one more person, then it's not a selfish kind of the endeavor. And with that, you plant that thought in this infinite field of the possibilities, and you water it, with your actions. You nurture it so it can come back to your life. This new earth will not bestow us with the magical gifts, because they are there, but they are vibrating in the high vibration. We can't see them. So let's say there is something, that I want to see, then I will plant that seed, and I put enough thoughts to that seed, and I connect with that thinking pattern and that intelligent mind, all that there is in this universe. will illuminate it, and I'll be able to see it. When I'm able to see it, I'm able to understand it. Now, what I'm saying, the seeing, it may be just very, metaphorical thing, but it may be a real thing. In a way, here's an example. I have watched the strawberries, right? And it's interesting. I was preparing talks on my notes for the class that I will teach on the Tuesday, which is the learning the language of light. And it comes to me so naturally to speaking the language of light, but I was thinking, how do I really present it to my students so everybody can learn to speak the language of light? It's not only the speaking kind of the form, there's a way how we perceive it. So eyes are doorway to the soul. Language of light is encoded in the colors, in the shape, in the smell, in the taste. All that has a quality of the language that we can perceive, but we have to perceive it beyond our, how would you say it in the correct English? We have to perceive it beyond the way that is already implanted in our mind. We have to perceive it through our full body consciousness and then understand it from that new earth energy. So literally my thought and idea before even cutting the strawberries was, how do I perceive the language of light through my all senses? And so that way, language of light talks to you in a way that bypass that logical thinking and then supply the new way of the logical thinking. So looking at the red, smelling the strawberries, recalling the memories of my childhood, impatiently waiting by the gate of the garden and saying, oh, I have to wait 1 more week until I eat that strawberry. Oh, it's so horrible. Connected me to this, like, wow, my grandma would be really surprised, because my grandma didn't live to the point when she would see the strawberries in the supermarket. So that all is the language of light, and that language of light brought me in this way of the thinking about the new earth. And there's been already several impulses of the talks that came to me that it says, you need to create that, you need to plant your talks thinking pattern. What is that you want in that field? You need to change your willpower from the suffering into unconditional love and practically apply yourself to manifesting what is it that you want. It's like, I take the seed, I plant it up there, I have to take care of that seed for the several months until it grow and will yield the sweet fruits that I would like to eat. So the same is with the energy of the new earth. Let's bring it into absolute simplicity. Let's not overthinking. You do not need the aliens land here and teach you how to do it. We know everything. Everything is within us. And if you think about it, your thoughts, your thinking process start inside of you. You get inspired about something. So you think about it. When you think about it, you start creating your emotions around it. Your emotions will create a chemical process within your body. When there are good thoughts and emotions, they make you feel great. They make you feel energized. They make you feel excited. Like, I was so excited to go and make this video for you. I couldn't wait to set it all up here for me, fix my hair a little bit better, to share with you. Or we can have these talks that, kind of make you feel bad and kind of funny about yourself until you make yourself sick. Your thinking process creates the emotions. Emotions create the chemical reactions. If these emotions are radical, unhappy, sad, for whatever reason, and there may be very good reasons in your life why they are like that, they would eventually make your body unhappy and unhealthy. Now, when you have unhealthy body, you will start lacking your practical, doing, active process of manifestation. When you are happy, your body is happier and healthier, and you are excited to create, to be the practical, active part of your manifestation. And that is something that, we need to learn to help to nourish the energy of the new earth. The energy is here, the new earth is here. And it's up to us to learn to live in that energy, to manifest that energy through us, so we will not miss on the greatest part of our life that there is. And a very last thought is this one. We are living in this energy of the new earth. And as I said, we need to be doers and plant our seeds and start manifesting and feel good and all that stuff that I said. So we will not miss out on this greatest energy. And yet we are challenged by the very depressive energies, what is happening all around us. Anything that wants us to distract us from being part of something amazing and great. And that all comes down to the choices. What do you choose? Do you choose to live a life of the suffering because that's what is suggested to us from the left to the right? Or are you gonna join in this new earth when you cross the threshold or feel neutral, letting go of the fear and the blames and unhappiness and the things what happened to us and things that we have done to each other and so much on, because we felt there was no other choice, then that's what happened. And step into the field that is totally planted, that is thriving with the unconditional love, and be there in our compassion, understanding, forgiveness, love, humility, in everything that we find within our heart. So I hope that the strawberry story inspired you. Aren't they delicious? I'm sure you're gonna enjoy them now, and that you will find your story where you truly believe that this is the way how it is. And then you came to the moment when you realize, oh wow, this is a little bit different. It doesn't have to be this way as I believe or as I was told. That's what it is. And here you come to this part when you can apply that idea any way you would like it to be. You are the creator, and the infinite field of the infinite possibilities is here for you. So I wish you a wonderful week. I share my love and light with you from my heart to yours. Bye-bye.